The wind blew dust across the broken scrapyard. Rusty metal pieces lay everywhere. Piled up like forgotten bones, Max, a young human man, walked between the wrecks with a tired look on his face. His boots crunched over old wires and glass. He searched for anything useful. He lived alone on the edge of town, far from the big cities. People called him strange. But he liked being alone. He fixed broken machines and sold parts to survive. That day felt like every other day, until he saw something roll toward him. It was small, round, and glowing, faintly blue. It didn't belong to any machine he had ever seen. Max bent down and picked it up carefully. The surface felt warm, almost alive. There was no button, no screen. Just a tiny opening on one side. Suddenly, the device shook in his hand and began to hum. Max almost dropped it, but then a soft voice came from the orb. It was shaky, young, and female. "This is your last chance, human," the voice said. "Do it now or never." The message ended, silence returned, and Max stood frozen. He looked around, thinking maybe someone was playing a joke, but he was alone, just him and the wind. He replayed the message again. "This is your last chance. Human, do it now or never." It made no sense. Who was the voice? What did she want him to do? Why him? Max took the orb home that night. His small workshop was filled with tools, wires, and parts stacked to the ceiling. He placed the orb on his workbench and stared at it. He had seen alien tech before, but nothing like this. He tried to open it, scan it. Even connected to his old computer, nothing worked. The orb stayed silent, except when it repeated that one message. Over and over again. He couldn't sleep. The voice kept echoing in his head. She sounded scared, desperate. Was she warning him? Or asking for help? The next night, something crashed in the nearby woods. The sky lit up with a streak of fire. Max ran out, his boots kicking up dirt as he followed the smoke. Trees were burning, but something else was there. A small ship, broken, twisted, half buried in the ground. It was alien for sure. He stepped closer, heart pounding. From behind the ship, a figure moved. Small, thin, and shaking. It was a girl, but not human. Her skin was light blue, her hair silver and glowing slightly. She looked young, maybe his age or younger. Her big eyes stared at him like she knew him. Max raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "I heard your message," he said quietly. Her eyes widened, and she took a step forward. She looked weak, like she hadn't eaten in days, but still, her voice was strong as she whispered, "This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never." Then she collapsed. Max rushed to catch her before she hit the ground. Her body was cold and shaking. He wrapped her in his coat and carried her back to his place. The stars above watched silently as he walked through the dark. He didn't understand what was happening, but he knew this girl, this alien, was in danger. He placed her on a cot. In the corner of his workshop, she slept, breathing slow and soft. He sat nearby, the orb still glowing on the table. Everything in his world had changed in one night. A message, a crash, an alien girl, and a warning. He looked at her, then at the orb. He didn't know what to do, but something deep inside told him this was just the beginning. And whatever came next, he had to be ready, because when a stranger from the stars tells you it's your last chance, you better believe she means it. Asterisk smoke still rose from the trees as Max stood outside his workshop. The stars above were quiet, but something inside him wasn't. He had brought an alien girl into his home, and now she was sleeping in his old cot. He kept staring at her, waiting for her to wake up. She looked peaceful now, but the crash had been violent. Her silver hair shimmered even in the low light. Her skin was pale blue, almost like soft crystal. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Max didn't know what to do. She had said those same words again. "This is your last chance. Human." But what did she mean? Why him? Why now? He sat beside her and waited. Hours passed. The night grew cold, but he stayed awake. Then her eyes opened slowly. She gasped and tried to sit up, but Max gently stopped her. "You're safe," he said softly. "I won't hurt you." She stared at him like she was trying to read his soul. For a moment, she said nothing, only looked at the glowing orb in his hand. "You found it," she whispered, her voice soft but full of weight. "That means—" "You heard me," Max nodded. "Who are you?" he asked. "What's happening?" She looked away, her eyes filled with fear. "I can't stay long," she said. "They'll come for me." "Who's coming?" Max asked again, more serious now. Her lips trembled, but she stayed silent. Then, with a deep breath, she stood up slowly. "I shouldn't have involved you," she said. "But there's no one else left." Max blinked, confused. She moved toward the window and stared out into the night. "You're human," she said. "You're not supposed to be part of this war." "What war?" Max asked. Stepping closer, she turned around, her expression filled with sadness and anger. "My people betrayed me," she said. "I carry something they want back." She pulled a small crystal from a pouch around her neck. It pulsed like a heartbeat, bright and alive. "This holds a secret that could change everything," she said. "If they get it, your planet will be the first to fall." Max's breath caught in his throat. "You're serious," he said. "This isn't just about you." She nodded slowly. "They don't care about your world," she said. "They just want power." Max looked at the crystal, then at her. She seemed so small, so quiet. But her presence felt heavy. "You said they'll come," Max said. "When?" "Soon," she whispered. "Maybe tonight." That word hung in the air like a storm about to break. Max ran to the door and locked it. He started covering the windows with scrap metal. The girl watched him, surprised. "You believe me?" she asked. "I don't know what I believe," Max said. "But you're here, and I'm not going to let anyone hurt you." She lowered her head, hiding a small smile. "No one's ever said that to me before." She whispered. Outside, the wind picked up, cold and sharp. Max felt it in his bones. Something was coming. And it wasn't going to ask questions. The girl walked closer to him, holding the crystal tight. "You should leave," she said. "Run while you can." "I'm not going anywhere," Max replied. "If they want to take you, they'll have to go through me." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "You don't understand what they are, human. You think I'm strange. But they are monsters." Suddenly, the orb on the table began to glow again. It buzzed, flickered, and projected an image into the air. A dark figure appeared, a tall, armored shape with red eyes and a voice like thunder. "Target located," it said. "Recovery in progress." The image vanished, and the orb went silent. Max and the alien girl stood frozen. "They found me," she said. Max grabbed a wrench from the wall and nodded. "Then we fight," he said. She looked at him with wide, almost shocked eyes. "You really are different," she whispered. And then, in a voice filled with fear but also hope, she said it again. "This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never." The sky above Max's workshop was no longer peaceful. Something heavy moved through the night air. It wasn't wind, and it wasn't thunder. It was quiet, but too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your skin crawl inside the workshop. The alien girl pressed her forehead against the wall. She whispered something in a language Max couldn't understand. Her voice trembled, like she was begging the wall itself to protect them. Max stood beside her, holding a metal rod like a sword. He didn't know who these enemies were, but he knew fear when he saw it. And this girl, this alien who spoke in riddles and warnings, was truly afraid. "Tell me what they want," Max asked again, his voice calm but firm. The girl turned toward him, her silver eyes glowing softly in the dark. "They want me," she said. "But not just me." She reached into the pouch on her waist and pulled out a glowing crystal again. "This is part of my people's legacy," she whispered. "It's a seed of memory." Max frowned. "What does that mean?" he asked. The girl stepped closer and held the crystal near his face. Suddenly, light poured from it, covering Max in strange patterns. He felt something push into his mind, not pain, but weight. Then he saw images, cities that floated in space, ships larger than planets, Faces of her kind, and then war, explosions, betrayal, her people chasing each other like wild animals. The crystal dimmed, and Max gasped, stepping back. "What was that?" he said, his heart racing. "Our history," the girl said softly, "and our shame." She walked slowly to the center of the room and looked at the orb again. "My name is Ayari," she said. For the first time Max blinked, surprised she had finally told him. "Ayari," he repeated. "Why me, Ayari? Why send that message?" "To me," she looked down, gripping the crystal tight. "It wasn't just sent to you," she said. "It was sent to everyone. But you were the only one who answered." Max looked confused. "You're saying no one else picked it up? No one else believed it?" She said. "No one else came." Outside, a strange light passed over the trees. Ayari ducked quickly and pulled Max down with her. "They're scanning," she whispered, "looking for energy pulses." Max held his breath. The light passed by without stopping, but he knew it wouldn't be long before they returned. Ayari finally sat down and closed her eyes. Her hands glowed as she placed the crystal near her chest. Max watched as her skin shimmered, then changed slightly. Her face grew sharp, her eyes darkened. He stood up quickly, alarmed. "Ayari," he said. "What's happening to you?" She opened her eyes, now glowing brighter. "I don't have much time left," she said. "When we bond with a memory crystal, it burns our energy." Max stared at her, feeling a chill in the air. "You're dying," he whispered, "if I don't deliver this to the lock before it fades." "Yes," she answered. Max grabbed his coat and threw it over her shoulders. "You're not going to die," he said. "We'll make it there," Ayari smiled for the first time, just a little. "You speak like a warrior," she said, "but you don't know what waits for us." Max lifted a metal panel and opened the hidden passage beneath his workshop. It was a tunnel he had built for emergencies. He had never thought he'd use it to escape alien hunters. "We go now," Max said. Ayari looked back at the workshop one last time. She whispered something again in her language, maybe a goodbye. Then they climbed into the tunnel and vanished into the shadows above them. A massive shadow landed in front of the house. A tall, armored figure stepped out of the ship. Its red eyes scanned the ground, and it spoke with a deep, cold voice. "She was here," it said. "Find the human. He holds the key." Far below the ground, Max and Ayari kept moving. Their flashlight flickered, but Ayari's crystal lit the path. Max asked again, "Why me? Why do they want me too?" Ayari hesitated, then said quietly, "You carry something inside you, a spark that matches our ancient signal." Max felt a strange chill down his spine. "What do you mean?" he asked. She stopped walking and turned to face him. "Your blood," she whispered. "Your DNA has traces of us. You are not fully human." Max stared at her, frozen in place. Ayari touched his hand gently and said, "I don't know how, but someone from your line once touched our kind. Now they want that blood, that signal, that power. And if they get it," she added, her voice shaking, "they won't just destroy my people. They'll control everything." The tunnel began to rumble behind them. They started running, fast and silent. Ayari looked over her shoulder and said one more time, "This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never." Asterisk. The tunnel opened into a wide cave hidden beneath the old hills. Max had never been here before, even though he built most of the passage. He had always sealed this section off. Too deep, too unstable, too strange. But now it was their only path forward. Ayari moved slowly, the crystal in her hands pulsing like a heart. Her glow lit the dark walls around them, casting soft light on old stone. Symbols were carved into the walls, alien, ancient, and waiting. Max ran his fingers across one of the symbols. It hummed under his touch like it recognized him. Ayari stopped and looked at him, her eyes wide. "It's real," she said softly. "I didn't want to believe it, but it's real." Max stepped back. Confused, "What's real?" he asked. Ayari placed her hand on his chest, just above his heart. And then it happened. A small spark lit up under his skin, a glowing pattern. spread across his chest like vines of light. Max froze, breathing hard. "What is this?" he whispered. Ayari's voice trembled. "You're the key, Max," she said. "The one chosen to activate the final lock." Max backed away slowly. "Me, no, that's impossible. I'm just a junkman." Ayari stepped forward, eyes serious. "Not by blood," she said. "Your ancestors touched our world long ago. Their code lives in you." He looked at his glowing chest, heart racing. "This isn't happening." He muttered. "It is," Ayari said gently. "And we don't have much time." A loud tremor shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the walls cracked slightly. Ayari grabbed his arm and pulled him down a narrow passage, the crystal. In her hand grew brighter, responding to the ancient symbols around them. Each step they took, the light from Max's chest grew stronger, like the cave was waking up after a long sleep. At the end of the passage they found it, a giant stone door, covered in alien carvings and glowing lines. In the center of the door was a handprint, clearly not human. But as Max stepped forward, the handprint shifted, slowly changing shape. It molded into a perfect match for his hand. "This is the final lock," Ayari said, her voice small in the vast chamber. "If you touch it, the system will activate. It will send a signal across the galaxy, warning the others, telling them hope still lives." Max stared at the handprint, then at her. "What happens after that?" he asked. Ayari looked away, her voice low. "The energy needed might. Take everything, your strength, your life, your soul." Max's breath caught in his throat. "You mean I die?" Ayari didn't answer, but the look in her eyes said enough. Silence hung between them, heavy and painful. Then footsteps echoed. Behind them, fast, sharp, getting closer. "They found us," Ayari whispered, turning around fast. Max stepped in front of her without thinking. From the shadows, a tall alien hunter emerged, red eyes glowing. It pointed a weapon at them, and spoke in a deep voice, "Hand over the crystal and the human." Now Max didn't move. Ayari stood behind him, her voice calm but shaking. "You'll never get the lock," she said. "Even if you kill us." The hunter stepped forward. But Max raised his glowing hand. The light burst from his palm like a shield, pushing the hunter back. The cave rumbled again, and the symbols on the walls flared to life. Ayari looked at Max, eyes wide in shock and wonder. "You've already started it," she whispered. The hunter growled, preparing to attack again, but Max turned to the stone door. His fingers hovered over the glowing handprint. Ayari's voice broke through the chaos. "Max," she said, "this is your choice. Not because of fate, not because of my people, but because you believe in something." Max looked at her, then at the hunter, then at the glowing door. His voice was steady, low, and full of quiet fire. "I won't let them win." He placed his hand on the stone. A powerful pulse spread through the cave. The door shuddered. The light exploded outward. The hunter screamed and vanished into the blast. Max dropped to his knees, shaking. The energy pouring through him was overwhelming. Ayari rushed to him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders. "You did it," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But you're burning up." Max's skin was hot, his breathing shallow. The symbols on the walls slowly dimmed, but the door had opened, revealing a glowing chamber beyond. The signal had been sent. The galaxy would hear the call. Ayari held him tightly as his eyes fluttered. "This is not the end," she said, tears falling. "Stay with me, Max, please." She placed her forehead against his, the crystal between them, and in that moment, something strange happened. A second spark lit between them, bright, soft, and alive. Then the light faded, and silence returned. Max awoke to a deep humming sound. It wasn't the cave anymore. He was lying on something soft and warm, under a sky filled with stars he didn't recognize. His body still hurt, but the burning from the crystal was gone. Ayari sat beside him, her silver hair now dull, her hands folded in her lap. She looked tired, older somehow, but alive. He tried to sit up, and she quickly supported him. "You're awake," she said softly. With a small smile, Max blinked, trying to make sense of everything. "Where are we?" he asked. Ayari looked around slowly. "We're not on Earth anymore," she said. "The lock opened a path. It took us somewhere safe." Max looked at the sky, seeing twin moons and stars that pulsed in strange patterns. He knew right away this wasn't anywhere near home. "I thought I was dying," he whispered. "You were," Ayari said. "But the system saw your sacrifice. It gave back what it could." Max shook his head. "Still dizzy. What about the hunter?" "Gone," she said. The signal from the lock destroyed its presence. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind move through alien trees. Max finally turned to her. "What now?" he asked. Ayari stood up slowly and pointed toward the hills. "A ship waits for us there," she said. "An old one, but it still flies. We have to keep moving." Max, the signal woke more than just enemies. As they walked through glowing grass and silent forests, Ayari told him more. The lock had activated a forgotten network. Ancient machines had started moving again across the stars. Some to help, some to hunt. "There are others like you," she said. "Hidden across the galaxy, bloodlines left behind." Max listened quietly. "So I'm not the only one," he said. "No," she replied. "But you were the first to answer." The path was narrow and strange, filled with floating stones and whispering trees. Max couldn't tell if it was a dream or just another alien planet. Every now and then, they'd hear a sound above distant engines. Watchers in the sky. Ayari grew quieter with every step. He noticed how she kept touching her chest, near where the crystal had once rested. "You're still weak," he said. She nodded slowly. "The lock took more from me than I thought," she admitted. "But I'm still standing because of you." Max stopped walking. "Don't say that," he replied. "We both survived." Ayari smiled faintly but didn't argue. When they reached the hilltop, the ship was waiting. It was old, dusty, and shaped like a silver wing. The ramp opened with a hiss, and soft blue lights lit the way inside. Ayari walked ahead, but then paused. She turned to Max, eyes wide and almost nervous. "Before we go," she said, "you need to know something." Max stepped forward, the wind brushing his jacket. Ayari looked up at him and said slowly, "Back at the lock when you placed your hand, something else happened." Max raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Ayari took a deep breath. "It didn't just respond to your blood," she said. "It merged us." Max's heart skipped. "What do you mean, merged?" Ayari touched her chest. "There's a connection now, a bond between us. I feel what you feel sometimes. Maybe you feel me too." Max stared at her, confused and stunned. "You're saying we're linked?" She nodded. "Yes, not by choice, but by something deeper, inside the ship." Lights flickered and systems booted up. Max followed her inside without another word. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew this: he wasn't just part of something bigger. He was tied to Ayari in a way he couldn't explain, and the galaxy was watching them both. As the ship lifted into the sky, a signal flashed across deep space. It wasn't just a warning this time, it was a call. A call for others like Max to awaken, to rise, to fight. Ayari stood beside him, holding the controls. Her hand brushed his just slightly. "This is only the beginning," she said. Max looked out the window at the stars. "Then let's not waste it," he replied. She smiled, eyes glowing again, and softly, she whispered the words that had started it all. "This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never." Asterisk. The stars stretched endlessly before them as the old ship glided through silent space. Max sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at the control panels, even though he didn't understand most of them. Ayari was quiet beside him, her hands moving across glowing symbols with practiced ease. But her face showed something new now: doubt. Even though the ship obeyed her touch, something was wrong. "We're not alone," she said without turning. Max sat up straighter. "What do you mean?" Ayari pointed to a cluster of blinking lights far ahead. "That's not just debris," she said. "That's a blockade." As they moved closer, the shapes became Clearer, 3 ships, sleek, black, sharp like knives, floated in their path. Max could feel the tension in the air. They weren't merchant ships. And they weren't here by mistake. They're waiting for us, he said. Ayari nodded slowly. They've been listening, tracking the signal since we activated the lock, the radio crackled. And a deep voice filled the cabin. Unmarked. Vessel, this region is closed under galactic law. Prepare for boarding. Max looked at Ayari, but she was already moving. We can't let them get close, she said. If they scan us, they'll know what you carry. Max's hand went to his chest, the place where the lock's mark still glowed faintly beneath his skin. What if we fight? He asked. They have better weapons, she replied. But we have something they don't. The ship turned sharply, darting away from the blockade. Behind them, alarms rang out as the black ships gave chase. Blue energy beams lit the dark sky, missing their tail by inches. Ayari pushed the ship faster than Max thought possible. He gripped the seat, teeth clenched as the engine screamed. One shot clipped the wing and sparks flew into the cabin. Ayari didn't flinch. Hold on, she said, and dove toward a red gas cloud below them. Inside the cloud, visibility dropped to nothing. The chasing ships hesitated. Scanning carefully, Ayari shut down all systems, and silence took over. They floated in complete darkness, engines off. Only the sound of Max's breathing remained. Did we lose them? He whispered. For now, she said, her voice barely a breath. Ayari's hand trembled slightly as she reached for the manual controls. We need to land, she said. There's a place not far from here, a forgotten world. They powered up quietly and slipped away from the cloud's edge. An hour later, a planet came into view. It was dark, cracked, and silent like it had been abandoned for centuries. Old satellites drifted in pieces, and the sky above it glowed red with dust. This place looks dead, Max said. Ayari nodded. It is, but under the surface, there are secrets. They landed in a crater surrounded by broken towers. Max stepped out and looked around at the ruins. It felt like walking through the bones of something long gone. Ayari knelt beside an old panel buried under rubble. This is one of the last relay stations, she said, from when the Ancient Ones still ruled. Max brushed dust off the stone wall nearby. Strange symbols covered everything, and some of them matched the marks on his chest. What is this place? He asked. It was a listening post, she said, built to watch the stars for signs of hope or danger. And now, Max said, we're using it to send another message. Ayari stood and placed her crystal in a round socket on the panel. Lights flickered and a low hum began to build. The ground beneath them vibrated softly. Ayari reached out her hand to Max. It will only work if we do it together, she said. Max placed his hand over hers. As the signal charged, he saw her eyes begin to glow again. This signal will wake the old worlds, she whispered. The hidden ones, the survivors, the broken empires. And if they answer, Max asked. Ayari's voice shook with hope and fear. Then we stand a chance. The signal launched like lightning, a beam of white light shooting into the sky. For a moment, everything was still. Then the ground rumbled harder, and ancient machines began rising from the dirt. Towers unfolded. Gears turned, lights blinked after centuries of sleep. Max looked around, stunned. This place is coming alive, Ayari smiled faintly. They're answering us, she said. But her smile faded fast as the sky above turned black again. Same black ships had found them. Faster this time, a blast hit the tower beside them. And Max pulled Ayari behind the console. We can't run again, he said. We don't need to, she replied. Max looked at her as she placed both hands on the glowing panel. I'll hold them, she said. You have to get to the next gate. The map is hidden inside the station. You can unlock it now. He grabbed her wrist. No, we go together. She shook her head. You carry the bond, Max, not me. You're stronger than you know, and this is your last chance. She placed her forehead to his and whispered gently, do it now or never. Smoke filled the sky as the ancient towers crumbled. Fire rained down from the ships above, turning the ruins into ash and metal. Max ran through the shattered stone, the old map device clutched tightly in his hand. His chest burned from the energy, from fear, from the words Ayari had whispered before they split. "Do it now or never," she had said, with a soft but unshakable voice. Behind him, Ayari stood on the platform. Surrounded by glowing machines and fire, she held the attention of the hunters with light and defiance. Her body shimmered with the last of the crystal's power. Every second she stood there, she bought Max more time. And time was the one thing they didn't have. Max reached the bottom chamber of the station. The map device unlocked a door hidden in the floor. Inside was a small room, dark and cold. A floating orb hovered in the center. Ancient and silent, he stepped closer, and the orb lit up. A voice echoed from it, old and full of sorrow. "Chosen one," the voice said, "you carry the blood of those forgotten. You hold the flame that once lit empires. You now decide the shape of the future." Max stared at the orb. Breath caught in his throat. He didn't want this. He never asked for this. But Ayari had believed in him. She had given him the map, and maybe more than that. "I'm just one person," Max whispered. The voice responded gently. "Great changes always begin with one." The orb revealed a new star path, glowing lines reaching across the galaxy. It showed hidden worlds, sleeping armies, old allies waiting to rise. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something bigger. Max downloaded the coordinates into the ship's system just as another explosion shook the floor. Dust rained from the ceiling, and fire lit the walls. He ran back up, each step filled with panic. "Ayari!" he shouted through smoke and wind. He found her kneeling on the cracked floor, one hand pressed to the console. Her light was fading, her shoulders shook, but she was still alive, still holding the enemy back. "You did it," she said, smiling weakly when she saw him. "The stars are listening again." Max dropped beside her, wrapped his arms around her. "You're coming with me," he said firmly. She tried to protest, but her voice was barely a whisper. "You'll never make it out carrying me." "I don't care," Max said, lifting her in his arms. "You've carried me this whole time, now it's my turn." Blasts shook the ground as he reached the ship. He placed her gently in the co-pilot's seat, her skin cold, but her eyes still full of life. The ship's engines roared to life as black ships closed in. Max looked at the new path glowing on the console. He didn't know what waited at the other end, but he trusted it more than he trusted staying still. The ship shot into the sky, dodging fire, leaving the burning planet behind. Inside, Ayari reached for his hand. He took it without a word. Even with her fading strength, her presence gave him calm. "I thought I'd never see the stars again," she whispered. "You will," Max said. "You'll see every one of them." They flew through the blackness, deeper into space. The galaxy had changed, and it would keep changing, because one human had answered the call. Because one alien girl had risked everything to believe in him. Because their bond was more than just blood or energy, it was choice. The stars around them flickered like they were watching, and as Max looked ahead at the endless road, he smiled. Not because he had won, but because he hadn't run, because he'd chosen to stand. Ayari closed her eyes, her head resting gently on his shoulder, a small smile on her lips, even as her light dimmed, and softly, even as her voice grew weak. She whispered again, "This is your last chance, human. Do it now or never." Max held her hand tighter and whispered back, "I already did."